Excuse me. Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at Captain America 200. Happy Father's Day for all you fathers out there. No, I'm not a father, but it's funny because people look at me and they go, "Happy Father's Day," But take it in the stride. Take it in the way that it was offered. One bad thing about doing live is I'm stuck with the stupid phraseology that comes out of my mouth. So I'm just going to stall for a second or two. I got nobody watching, nobody listening, but that that doesn't stop me. I talk and talk and talk. All right, so I was anybody who follows comic books, anybody who watches my channels knows that I rant and rave about how bad modern Marvel Comics is today. I quit Marvel Comics in 2015. So I looking back, I estimate that I started collecting comics around 1974. This comic came out in 1976. It's the bicentennial issue of Captain America. My original copy is utterly destroyed. So this I rebought a couple years ago. I bought a collection of Captain America off of somebody. So I really good condition. So actually I bought a collection of just like all Marvel comics in general. I think I told that story. This is one of them from that collection. So this is like the if you know that story about me buying the collection, I forget who I told it to, but this is like the condition of all the comics in that collection. So it was an awesome buy, but I digress. So I was talking about modern Marvel comics and how bad it is. The creators of Marvel Comics do not honor tradition. They don't honor the characters. They don't honor anything about they don't even like comics. And then they're all putting out a hashtag. Oh, I got a thumbs up. I guess I'm doing well. They put out a hashtag comics broke me. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, for those of you who watch this in the future, on Twitter there's a hashtag comics broke me. And it's all comic professionals talking about how rotten comic books are, how the industry screwed them over, how they're not making any money, how they can't pay their bills, and blah, 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 blah. And, 6 months ago, comics were booming. Yay, comic books were the best thing in the world. And now comics broke me. And the funny thing is all the comics gator guys, all the independent guys are talking about comics broke me out of a life of misery. They gave me a chance to have my dreams. They broke me out of poverty. So it just shows you the guys in the mainstream industry don't even like the mainstream industry, and they are the mainstream industry. Well, they broke comics, and now they're claiming that comics broke them. But that's a rant. Wow, 2 minutes in, I'm already ranting. But anyway, I I've been collecting comics since 1974. I still collect comics. I'm more excited about comic books these days than ever before. I've been meeting meeting companies. I've been meeting people from companies like Alterna. I've been talking with like Pete Sabetti, Brian Bow, Josh Howard, Tonic Mole. I talk with Mike Barron. I got a scheduled talk with Chuck Dixon coming up. I mean, I am more excited about comic books than almost since I was a child. I mean, it's hard to top anything, the excitement of a child. But so I just have to laugh at all these comics broke me people because comic books are exciting. What's not exciting is Marvel, DC, Image. Dark Horse still has a lot of Mike Mignola comics, so I'm not going to bag on Dark Horse because that's really all I focus on. You know, at this stage, I'm in my 50s. At this stage of my life, I kind of focus on all the good. You don't ignore the bad. That's how problems arise. But I focus on the good. How's that? But anyway, I digress. Focus, find your center. Okay, so the premise of this Sunday Comics was a couple of times I've been talking with friends and people online and just saying in videos that Marvel Comics is broke. Oh, I see there's two people in the chat. Could you give me could you introduce yourselves? Let me know who's watching. Just out of curiosity, let me know if it looks good, sounds good, because the internet was real wonky yesterday. But anyway, I digress. So I've been talking about how like bad Marvel comics are, how bad DC comics are, and I figured out a way to fix Marvel comics in continuity. Like using precedent comics. I find that like comic book collectors are hey, Tony Dimes. Hey, how you doing, Tony? How you doing? I was going to say something to you, but now I can't remember because I'm crazy. But Comic book collectors are like lawyers. We're always looking for precedents, like, so this comic book has a precedent that will fix Marvel continuity. And I think it'll. I find me a long term dinosaur. Hey, Brian Bauart, thank you, Brian. I just mentioned your name. Talking about how I'm excited about comic books because I've been meeting cool people. But anyway, this comic book, I'm gonna do a talk through it. I'll showcase it. Then I'll use my thoughts to explain why this comic book could save modern Marvel comics. But first, an ad for Tim Hortons coffee. Tim Hortons coffee. When you want coffee and you're Canadian, although I'm not Canadian, my wife is Canadian. It's funny because when we first got married, we drove up to Providence, uh, Providence, Rhode Island, and this I don't even know how many years ago this was, 14 years ago, and she was homesick, missing Canada, and we drove up to Providence just for a nice Saturday trip. It was like a couple hours there, a couple hours back. We sent it because I wanted to take pictures of H.P. Lovecraft, like his home where he grew up. I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft fanatic. So we went to the graveyard. We took pictures of the tombstone. I had a map printed out of like all the addresses where he lived at this point, places, and we went. Of course, it's not the same as the 1920s, but it was really, really cool. I'd like to go back and spend more time there. But long story short, on the way there, we saw a Tim Hortons, and my wife started crying. She got all homesick. So, of course, I was like, what's Tim Hortons? I'd never heard of it before. We went, got coffee, and that's it. It's my favorite coffee. Better than Dunkin' Donuts. Starbucks is not even in the equation. I don't know. I saw a Babylon Bee in Starbucks invents a machine that makes their coffee almost half as good as McDonald's, and that's the truth. Starbucks coffee is garbage. But let's focus. All right, so back to this comic. So I just did my mandatory Tim Hortons commercial, and now we are going to look at this comic. So here we go. 25 cents. This is Captain America 200. Look at that corner box. This is the Falcon special bicentennial issue. For those of you who were around in 1976, the bicentennial was everywhere. I had a pair of red, white, and blue pants. I wish I still had them. I mean, of course, they wouldn't fit because I was a week, not even 10 yet. But they had red, white, and blue stripes down the legs. I thought they were the coolest thing, and I wore them to the bicentennial parade. There was parades. There was fireworks. It was a big deal. The bicentennial was a big deal. It was a lot of fun. So of course, Captain America was a big deal, and at this point, Captain America was teamed up with the Falcon. This Jack Kirby had returned to Marvel Comics to do Captain America and the Falcon. He was doing a lot of comics at this point. He was doing like Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy. He was doing Machine Man 2001, Captain America. I can't remember what else, but he was doing a lot. Black Panther. Yeah, Brian, I say before you got on, I forget which one it was, but I told the story of me buying a collection from. I worked with a woman, and she was tutoring a girl, and I bought the collection from her. This is one of the comics from the collection. So it was 990 something comics. Oh, Tim Hortons coffee. So every comic in that collection is in this like near mint condition, and I'm talking like Hulk 181, Fantastic 450. It was pretty much everything from Marvel Comics from like I'll say like 1964 on. I mean everything. This comic was like one of those legendary, once in a lifetime finds. Jeez, my mouth is crazy. So anyway, for those of you who just started, I'm talking about how Marvel Comics today is broken, and I'm not telling tales out of school because all the comic creators have been doing a hashtag Comics Broke Me. Comics broke me. They pay me nothing. Comics broke me. I'm miserable. I can't afford my antidepressant medicine. Go on Twitter, go hashtag Comics Broke Me, and I hate to be a jerk, but I am a jerk. Just ask my wife. I hate to be a jerk, but I'm laughing at it. I'm laughing at it because here the people for the past, from 2015 on have been gaslighting me, telling me about how great comic books are doing. And now they're all the same people are talking about how comic books broke me and the industry is terrible. And I just got to laugh, because let's face it, everybody likes to be right. I knew that the industry was terrible. I knew that the industry itself isn't terrible. It's the people in the industry. Let me make that, because comic books are wonderful. And the only people making money in comic books right now are the independents. You know what I mean? Look at right now, the master of comics, the king of comics, is Eric July. The guy just made like $4 million on two comics. You know, say what you want. Who's doing that? Who's making $4 million on two? I mean, granted, that's his business, but you know what I'm saying. Uh, anyway, focus. So, Comics Broke Me is the inspiration for this video. So, how could we fix Marvel Comic? We all know that there's problems. Peter Parker is out of character. He's this little wimp. Reed Richards is the nasty father figure, because everybody in comic books today hates their father. The X-Men are isolationist, segregationist, racist, hanging out with the Hellfire Club, having a Hellfire. Like, for those of you who don't know, every couple of months now, it seems like every time I turn around, the X-Men are having a Hellfire Gala. They're having an event named after. I don't read the comics, so I imagine Sebastian Shaw's there, the leader of the Hellfire Club. I imagine Emma Frost there, the White Queen. But the Hellfire Club was a horrible supervillain organization. What did they do? Well, they tried to get political favor and rule the world. And how did they get political favor? Sexual blackmail. I mean, look what Mastermind did to Jean Grey. He invaded her mind, took away her free will, and used her as a sex slave. You know, and that's what Emma Frost did. That's what she did. She got children to work for the Hellfire. These were Max. What's his name? Epstein. Why can't I think of his name? Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell of the comic book industry, decades before we knew about any of that stuff. You know, and now the X-Men are going to Hellfire Gala. Hellfire Gala. It's like, can you imagine if we had superheroes today and they were all going to the Epstein Island convention? You know, and we'd be like, what is going on? You know, so I don't know. So I'm just literally disgusted by the state of modern comics. Good morning, Bushpan. How are you doing? So that got me. I'm always thinking, how can I fix this? So let's look through this comic book. I got a bunch of people. I got Interaction. And we'll look through this. First off, look at the craziness. Look at the craziness. Doesn't Captain America just look insane? Doesn't in fact, they got that whole. Usually they say when you can see the whites on both sides of the eye, that like denotes insanity. Well, there we go. One thing you can't argue is the dynamism in this cover, the action, the explosion, the Kirby crackle, everything you want. This is not my favorite period of Jack Kirby's work. Look at the Spalding ad. But I love Jack Kirby. And full disclosure, at this point, in 1976, when I was a kid, I didn't like Jack Kirby. That was old-fashioned comics. I didn't, I like John Byrne. I like George Perez. I like Neil Adams, even though I didn't know these names at the time, because at this point I didn't notice the name. I just noticed the art. So to me, Jack Kirby was old-fashioned, stuffy comics. It wasn't until really I was like maybe senior in high school, that I started to like Jack Kirby. So you always had them because they were always around. Like I like Sal Buscema, I like John Romita, but I did not like Jack Kirby. And I remember when I started working at the comic book store, the guy who owned the comic book store, he was always like, I respect Jack Kirby. You have to respect, but I don't like his art. And I was like, okay. So I adopted that stance because I wanted to be cool and I wanted to listen to what the comic book guy said. But then I as you know today, I'm a Jack Kirby fanatic. But this is not my favorite Jack Kirby period. This is like, I don't know, like too much work too fast. It just seems like, I don't know, not as good as if my favorite Jack Kirby's or him on Thor. Oh my God, those are the best. Thor and Fantastic Four. So edited, written, and drawn by Jack Kirby. That's a red flag. I don't think you should be editing your own work. You should always have a third party check out your work. Inks by Frank Giacola, who is not my favorite inker for Jack Kirby, but he's good. Letterer John Costanza. I mean, geez, I think John Costanza was the letterer for like the last 6 comics in a row that I showcased. Colorist Don Warfield. Consulting editor Marv Wolfman. So I think is Marv Wolfman the editor in chief of Marvel Comics at this point? I don't remember. So for those of you who don't know, before this, we had the famous Steve Englehart run on Captain America, where it was like a very realistic, very political take. Comics were always political. Yes, and they weren't always selling when they were political. So we had the we had Steve Englehart writing Jack. Focus. We had we had Steve Englehart writing this, and that was when they had the Watergate happened. When Nixon got caught with bugging the hotel and blah blah blah, things that Obama did horribly worse, and everybody still cheers him on as the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I digress. But we had Steve Englehart do it and write a story. So Jack, Captain America beats with the president, the fictional president of the Marvel universe, and he kills himself because he's ashamed of what he did. Oh, shocker! And then, like the very next issue, Jack Kirby took over. Now, why? Because Jack Kirby wanted Marvel Comics. Jack Kirby created Captain America, so he wants it, he gets it back. But also, it wasn't selling. People don't want depressive comics like that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, comics are always critical. Yes, yes, and every time they tried, they got canceled. I said yesterday when I showcased the X-Men, read the X-Men, get an omnibus, get the first 20 issues of the X-Men. Up until issue 14, it was mutants, and then in the letters page, Jack Kirby says we're gonna change directions on the X-Men because it's not selling. People don't want mutants; they want supervillains. So they don't want this. He said it without saying that people don't want identity politics. People want superhero action, so they actively changed. That's when the X-Men got what's his name, Fred Duncan, the FBI agent, and they went on government missions. It changed. And X-Men, fumbled out of the gate, and it wasn't until Len Wein and Doug Cockrum did the new X-Men that it exploded. And the new X-Men, up until, I'm going to say X-Men 150, it was, once in a while it was mutant stuff, but for the most part, it was adventure stories, fighting in space, aliens, Magneto, and the Savage Land. And then the only real mutant story wasn't really identity politics. It was the Hellfire Club mentally and physically abusing Jean Grey until she becomes Dark Phoenix, and the ramifications of that. So and then it became a booming franchise, and then they wallowed in identity politics. And I will say that the art carried the X-Men because I jumped off boat, but I digress. And then in DC, you had the hard traveling heroes with Green Lantern and Green Arrow, drawn by wonderful art by Neil Adams, written by Denny O'Neil. And they tried to inject politics. So you had Green Arrow as the hippie, and then you had Green Lantern as the conservative, and they always made. And then you had Ganthet, one of the Guardians of the Universe, and they were traveling around like Jack Kerouac and Neil Cassidy in their car driving around America, rediscovering America, and that's when they had that famous the black guy comes up to Green Lantern and is like, oh, you're always helping the blue skins, you're always helping the green skins, but what have you done for us brown skins? And then Green Lantern hangs his head in shame and walks away. I would have said, listen, what have I done for you? I saved your ass. I saved the planet. I saved the universe from threats that you don't even know. You're right here lecturing me because me, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, conservative hero, saved your ass. I saved your grandkids. I saved your wife. I saved everybody. And you don't even know about it. And now, instead of saying thank you to me, you're lecturing me. We got a bunch of heroes. My job is to stop cosmic threats that you don't even know about. But Steve Englehart got super political, and it didn't. Am I there? Something just happened. Am I there? Steve Englehart got political, and it didn't sell. They had to reset the status quo. So let's get this. This is 1976, splash page. So we got Captain America leading the army in dawn's early light. I mean, can you get more patriotic than this? They're setting up the Whoozy Watsits and the Framistats and the Gizmos. Just look at all of this insane Jack Kirby technology. Like, look at these suits. They kind of look like the Forager from the New Gods. Like, what does that do? What does that? Is it a key that turns out? I don't know. Do you care? I don't care. Look, he's overlooking this. We got to put this thing in here. What does it do? I don't know. Go ahead. It's technology that only maniacs like Jack Kirby could create. I heard a story that Jack Kirby couldn't drive. not because of like whatever, but because he couldn't concentrate on the road because he was always thinking, he was always imagining things, and he would get distracted. Oh man, I sympathize with you, Jack, because I'll drive on the highway. Next thing you know, I'm missing my exit, and I'm like, oh my god, I drove like an extra 10 minutes when I didn't have to because I was caught in a daydream. All right, so look at they just sneak it up on what is that? Oh, so he set it up a scope. Look at that. We got like Bullet Man, the human bullet. Just look at the insanity in his eyes. You know, just I always this ad. I keep talking about ads that irrationally bothered me. This was another ad that irrationally bothered me. Like as a kid, what does LaSalle Extension University do for me as a kid? This isn't Sea Monkeys. This isn't Hero of the Beach. This isn't selling me comic books. This isn't X-ray specs. Sneak over this wall. This guy gets taken out, and Captain America is the. And these are not Hydra. These are not AIM. These are like private mercenaries in basically the same colors as Hydra and AIM, and I guess that was like shorthand for bad guys. And then Captain America leaps into action. I love that one kick. Look at that. He takes out everybody. Bro, I went to LaSalle. Oh, you went? You went. So did you fill out that application in the Captain America comic books? You go to the Extension Universe. Do they have a rap the rap annex? For those of you who don't know, Tony Dimes was on my channel a couple of maybe a month or so ago. We talked about Silver Surfer, and he has he's a rapper. He's got some rap songs on Spotify, Sunday Gravy, and he also has one called John's Long Box. I'm only kidding, but there's your next song. So Captain America just jumps in and takes out all of these guys, and he orders the soldiers in. You know, he's leading from the front. All right, let's look. Oh, that I always wanted that. I Space 1999. I watched it. I remember nothing about it except I loved the Eagle one. I got booted from public school and went to the Salmon in Oakdale, Long Island. Oh, okay. So we that's what made you your honest up. Best thing that happened to you. Yeah, well, you know, sometimes we don't realize that we need a little bit of guidance there. You know, and I met you, Tony. You need a lot of guidance. So we got the Falcon over here. I always thought the Falcon's costume was just super cool. I did a showcase on Captain America. Was it 167? The first appearance of the Falcon in his original orange and green costume, and he couldn't fly. All he was a guy. All he was a guy with like acrobatics. Now he could fly. The Black Panther made these wings for him, and now he could fly. And now they say he's a mutant who could talk to birds, and then he could send his brain into birds, and now he could see through the eyes of all birds. Power creep happens. Miss the old time fun of Marvels. It's nice to read the older books. As ever, buy what you want. It's not. That's not how. Yep. Oh, you a member of the Mighty Marvel Marching Society? It was like the X-Men school. Oh, okay. Uh, yeah, you wore uniforms, and you know. Did you have a danger room? So here, the Falcon. So they're doing a two-pronged attack. Captain America is leading the ground forces, and Falcons. But what's going on? I'll explain it. We'll get to it. We'll come together. So now he's climbing up, and now he sees that they got this gun aimed, and I like this guy smoking a cigarette, and Falcon just smashes their heads together. Just smashes their heads together. So now here's an ad that I liked. We got these were pads of paper, so you could get these pads of paper, like write your notes on a Hulk pad, your Captain America pad, Bison. Yeah, I'll love that today. Put my grocery list on that. Sugar daddies, there you go. Sugar daddies for Father's Day. You see, I planned it all. Now I like that. He has a wrist communication underneath his glove, and he's talking to Captain America. I took out the air support. You guys go in. So now he's going in. This guy's, what's the blazes there? We got the feds. So I love that. He's just calling Falcon a fed. And what does he do? He does the old Han Solo, smash the camera. And let's go, guys. So now he's leading the troop. And, wow, wow, wow. We got the recoil rifle. I guess it's kind of like like Captain America's repulsor rays. I love this. It fires around corners. That's such a cool thing. And we're just going to blast a Rooney. Fighting, throwing in gas grenades. The soldiers are going in. Note that these soldiers are totally useless because this is a Captain America comic. It's just cool to have Captain America lead all these troops, but Captain America and the Falcon are doing everything. So now we got this, it's funny that he's in a red coat, but he's dressed in like a colonial America of 1776 costume. And just punch right in the chin, right in the neck chin area. What do you call that? The gullet. Ooh, man, that would hurt. All I could think of is your jaw slamming shut, your teeth clench. Oh God, that just made my mouth hurt thinking about it. Damage to the teeth is just horrible. Captain America's pushing his way through. Tony, you still there? I noticed that like everybody dropped off. Did something happen? And now we got this colonial American society going on, giving speeches about, America, whatever. And of course, they're always bad guy racist. I love this ad. I've always loved this ad. And in my mind, Conan was always attacking Howard the Duck, and I hated Howard the Duck at the time, so I was kind of happy by it. So let's look at the slate of comics that are being offered. Amazing Spider-Man, I collected it. Avengers, collected it. Captain America, collected it. Captain Marvel, collected it. Had some hiccups, but didn't get booted. Okay, I just hope everybody comes back. Conan, I did not collect. I did not collect Conan. I did not like Sword and Sorcery comics, but I'm buying them now. I had the same mixed feelings about Kirby that you described for years, but I'm loving this comic. His panel composition. That's for those of you who do not know. Brian Bao is a writer, artist of a comic called Wolf and Batsy that I highly recommend. Matter of fact, it's on. You could get it right now. He's got two issues, two new issues offering that I think are going to be coming out in August, September, around there. I'm not 100% sure. But you could go to alternacomics.com and get that along with all the Alterna comics, and you could go to Indiegogo. It's like $17 for everything that Alterna is going to put out, and then you could go to alterna.com and buy the back issues. I highly recommend them. Highly recommend them. So I love talking to Brian about art, and because I'm a story guy. I'm going to flatter myself. I like to write. I fancy myself a writer, although I had one short story published decades ago because I psyched myself out. But so I like talking to Brian about the art because that's I mean I appreciate the art, but I'm not an artist. But I jokingly showed off my artistic skills, and people, it was so bad people didn't even want to make fun of it. So let's get back to this. Conan I didn't collect, but Daredevil I collected. The Defenders I wanted to collect, but the Defenders was hard to find in my area. Same with Doctor Strange. Fantastic Four is what got me into comics. Howard the Duck couldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Hulk, I would get infrequently because to me Hulk was like a monster, and as a kid I wasn't really into a monster. I since changed my mind. The Invaders I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Iron Man, I don't know what it was. It was always there, but I did not collect Iron Man until I was in college. So then I got back issues. So then the rest of these, like Marvel Tales, that was reprint. Marvel Team Up, I loved. Marvel 2-in-1 was my favorite. Master of Kung Fu, I always wanted to get it, but it was hard to find. Power Man, I never saw Power Man in my neighborhood. I don't know what it was. Thor, I loved, and Tomb of Dracula, I wouldn't touch. So let's look at I always like to look at the names just in case I recognize anybody. Bill Dickinson, I don't know any of these names. Okay, and then look at that. What is this? This is just a space saver. They ran out of stuff to write, or they didn't want to, so they just reprinted a panel. This was an oversized Treasury edition. I remember this. Crazy Magazine was a humor magazine, just like a Mad Magazine. I thought it was inferior, but I still liked it. And it was funny because my friend down the block, he had subscriptions to Crazy, and another kid had a subscription to Cracked, and me and my brother would pick up Mad, and we were like I joke around like we were like a West Side Story street gang, like snapping our fingers, dancing, like fighting. I like Cracked. I like Cracked. You like Crazy. You like Crazy. I like Mad. Stupid kids. We never really did that, but that's what happened in my mind. I had the same. Okay, Brian, I already read that. All right, so let's get back to this. So all out action. We got guys machine gunning bad guys. We got the Falcon jumping around over here. Captain America's not in this panel. We got this redhead over here. Redhead, the ginger, he's gonna get killed because that's what they do to redheads. And here comes Falcon, just saving the day, just blasted his way through. I love this panel. He's a normal human. He's not stronger than an average human, but don't let that stop a good idea. His momentum, he's smashing into this machinery and using his strength and his bulk to stop it from crashing and the machinery shattering. I mean, that's like getting hit by a car, but he's a hero. And then we got this crazy machine, okay? The Big Daddy Mad Bomb. It's being activated. It's funny. I've seen, and this just snapped into my head right now. this just snapped into my head right now. I never thought of this before, but look at this circuitry and paneling. I've seen Jack Kirby do stuff like that over and over and over again, and it wasn't until if you read the comic Promethea by Alan Moore. In the comic book Promethea, Alan Moore uses the character of Promethea. She starts out as like a Wonder Woman homage. I don't want to say ripoff because ripoff is lazy. Homage is you do it out of love and respect, and you got your own twist. But Promethea, she's a literary creation in the comic book, so she only exists when people express like literature, and she manifests herself, and she's a being of magic, like Aleister Crowley magic, Thelema, and that kind of stuff, and there's something like 27 issues because there's 27. I forget the exact number, but there's one comic book for each card in the tarot, and each comic book is dedicated to the tarot. And it through that comic book, it explains how Aleister Crowley's occult magic works, and then there's a symbol that she uses that it looks remarkably like this, and it's like this occult symbol that symbolizes the path to heaven and enlightenment. So I wondered, did Jack Kirby subconsciously put that into this Mad Bomb? Did Jack Kirby consciously put it into this, or is it just that this pattern just kind of makes sense when you're doodling? Which case it would lend itself to Alan Moore's explanation of why this is the symbol for the pathway to God. I don't know, but Jack Kirby's mind works on a different dimension than yours and mine. I'm constantly in awe of the man's imagination, and I didn't even know that I've seen this many times as a kid, and now it's the first time it clicked. So there you go. More of my reverence for the imagination of Jack Kirby. And it's funny because when you see Jack Kirby, he looks like a 30s gangster. Like, why I ought to smack the crap out of you. You never, just to look at the guy, you think the guy would be showing up to like muscle into your turf. But instead, inside that guy's brain is like one of the most amazing imaginations in the history of the universe. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. So now we got to the point where I think his brain worked. At this point, I think his imagination was so powerful that like, I don't even think he was legendarily fast. I think his art skills couldn't even keep up with his imagination. So, but there you go. My awe of his is like almost religious. So now he's beating these guys up. He's pulling off their masks. Oh, and this is the Mad Bomb. At this point, I need to explain what the Mad Bomb is. So the couple of issues before this, Mad Bombs were going off. There was Dumpling, was the first Mad Bomb, and it was a small bomb. And what it did is it emitted frequencies that messed with people's brains and the way they thought, and it changed their thought processes. And it was a primitive bomb, so it would when the Mad Bomb went off, you went mad, and people like in a city block would go nuts and start attacking each other. So there was Dumpling. I forget the other one. The other one was like Peaches or something like that. It was a little bit bigger, and it was big enough to do a city. So an entire city would go mad, and like they would just like start attacking each other. And then this one is Big Daddy, and this one is big enough for a continent. So when this one gets fired off, all of North America, their thoughts and thought processes are going to be interfered with, that everybody is going to go mad. So I'm sure if you follow the line of my focus of what's going on. And this is the third and worst of the Mad Bombs. So I love this. He just pulls a wrench out, or no, it's not a wrench. It's just a big switch over here. With like neon lights pointing, pull this switch, turn it off. You know what I mean? It's just like only things that exist in movies. We got more ads over here. Locksmith, pennies, be taller, poems. I just loved like, just look at the advertisement in these old comics. It shows you that it was more than just little kids. The little kids need locksmiths, a big taller, 25 seahorses, old comic books. I love that. I wish I paid attention. I could have got stuff. I love this, the switchblade comb. Life insurance for people. Look at this. Life insurance in comic books. And here we got some crazy stuff. Karate. On this ad, we got a 9-panel page over here. We got Sam Wilson, the Falcon. He's struggling with the lever of the Mad Bomb. And this, I think this is like Jack Kirby trying to drum up recollection of Spider-Man with the famous panel. I showcased that in Spider-Man, what was it, 35, Steve Ditko, when he lifts the machine. But here we got him struggling, and the only flaw is too many words. Like I think the struggling and some sound effects would have been enough. We know what's going on. He can't pull the switch. And if the switch isn't pulled, not just America, but Canada and Mexico, like an entire continent is doomed. And he finally summons up the strength and power to shatter the mad bomb. And then here are all these highfalutin Yankee Doodle dandies. They're all like celebrating because they're in a protective bunker. They're going to survive this and take over and restore America back to the 1976 ideal or whatever. You know, and here comes Captain America dressed in red, white, and blue. Like, okay, here I am. We're gonna take you out. Sam already stopped your plans. These I miss, if I may get maudlin for a second, but this is Stanley's soapbox. This is Stan writing directly to me, to you, to whoever's reading this comic. And believe me, I did not read these as a kid. I flipped over this page just as a waste of page. But now as an adult, whenever when I reread these old comics, you better believe I read these. And I get like teary-eyed sometimes. I miss Stan. There's a documentary about Stan now. I forget what format it's on. The grandsons of Jack Kirby are saying, it's Stan's minimizing everybody else. Yes, Stan was a showman. I heard that Jack Kirby kind of did the same thing with Joe Simon. The more I know, the more it like destroys some of my love for all these guys. But you know what? I miss Stan. I spent so much time in playing with his toys that he created and Jack created. So maybe I'm putting on rose-colored glasses, but let me have my rose-colored glasses. And these are just items, news, Marvel in-house news, and now I read this stuff because this is kind of interesting. They explain a lot of stuff. Sometimes they'll talk about like the births of children in the bullpen. But I didn't read the stuff as a kid. These I always read. I always got a kick out of them. This is a Hulk fighting like Toadman over, it's an advertisement for cupcakes. I love those advertisements. So now he's telling them all to surrender. You're outgunned. Here comes the American forces. He's talking to, your ideal isn't going to work. Here you go. And like, okay, let's have a duel. He's like, you want to fight? Whatever. And, they're pointing guns at each other. They're at a stalemate. Like, I'll shoot you, you shoot me. And then, all the destruction he sees that the bomb is blown up. And he's like, where's Cap? Where's Cap? The explosion. And, they all committed suicide rather than be traitors. And Cap survives. He goes, the nation still stands. The night people. So, let's look at the last bit. Oh, Bullet Man. Bullet Man, the human bullet. These were made by the people who made G.I. Joe. And they were big. I think his helmet came off. He had fuzzy hair. This was cool. There was Bullet Man and Bullet Woman. I forget what company actually, a comic book company, made Bullet Man. Was it Quality Comics? I'm sure Arthur Tripp would know, but I don't know. Message redacted. Okay, I guess he said some dirty words. Fishing. Look at that ad. Fishing. And model planes. There was a rubber band that went through here, and you twisted this up, put some tension, and then when you let go, the propeller would go, and it would just fall to the ground. It didn't work. maybe other people who were better at building models got this to work. Okay, so why did I pick this comic to fix Marvel continuity? Well, Marvel continuity is a mess. Nobody's acted the right way. The Punisher became, the leader of Ninja Clan, and then what? His wife is going to divorce him, and was he kill himself? Well, I don't know. Peter Parker's acted like a wimp. Mary Jane doesn't love him. Reed Richards is acting like a mean father. Because Marvel creators all hate their daddies. Thor has acted weird. I'm trying to remember who they're all acted strange. The X-Men, forget about it. The X-Men are full on villains doing. I already explained that. So, Carol Danvers is a space fascist. Locking up people before crimes. She-Hulk has acted like weird. They're all off. Why? Because of the fourth mad bomb. So there was Dumpling. There was Watermelon, and then what was this one was called Dumpling. I forget, but they all had cutie pie name. It was like there was like dumpling, peaches, and whatever. But I'm saying, so one of them could take out a city block. One of them was an entire city. This one was an entire continent. Well, guess what? There was a fourth mad bomb that they didn't know about. Somebody after this said, "Good idea," but I'm not going to announce it. I'm not going to celebrate. So, a mad bomb has been released that affects the entire world. That's Buttercup. So Buttercup, it has been fired and it's working. Everybody on Earth is acting weird, and what we sooner or later, like one of the cosmic superheroes, like Silver Surfer, or somebody like Wonder Man, who's not entirely human, or maybe Doctor Doom. We'll figure out, because he's like, why what's going on, why, he'll use his spells, or Doctor Strange. But one of those level guys is gonna, this is my story originally was a, okay, calm down. So my story originally was they're all acted weird. So Carol Danvers, her origin was she jumped in, Captain Marvel jumped in front of an Omniwave bomb, and when that shot the rays and exploded, the rays penetrated Captain Marvel and then went into Carol Danvers and gave her Captain Marvel's DNA, and now she has a duplicate of his powers. That's her origin. I didn't make that up. So at one point, they were drawing Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, to look more and more mannish. I say embrace it. She was turning men. Why? Because the Kree DNA was overriding her. So she's having a freak out, but the mad bomb is causing her to act like a space fascist. She's being Carol Danvers. So embrace it. Go with it. She's struggling with this duality nature. Because of the Marvel DNA. It's alien DNA, space alien DNA, male DNA in her body. So she realizes that it's like cancer. At one point, she will no longer be the person she is. Her identity is being destroyed. Everything about her is transforming. So what does she do? She talks to Reed Richards. She talks to all of these big egg, and they extract the DNA out of her. And what do? We got Marvel again. So Marvel is back. They separate them just like they use the same process that that Bruce Banner used with the Hulk when John Byrne was doing the Hulk. At one point, they extracted the Hulk from Banner, and Banner had the crutches and everything. So they use that process. We got Carol Danvers. We got Captain Marvel. Because of comic book magic science, she still retains her powers, and now we have Marvel, fully born. He's not really Captain Marvel. He's just a genetic clone, so he doesn't have the memories. He doesn't have anything else. But one thing he does have is the cosmic awareness. So at first he's like, wow, and we'll make him the junior sidekick of Carol Danvers. Why not? He's just born. He doesn't have the experience. So now he's flying around. He's learning everything, and his mind he just has like a constant headache. Something's bothering him, but he doesn't have the wherewithal to explain what's bothering him, what's going on. And all of a sudden, his cosmic awareness matures, and he starts to understand this isn't right. This isn't right. And he flies down with Carol Danvers, and they find this hidden bunker where there's Buttercup, the last fourth mad bomb, and it's just chugging along, sending out these. And he says, "This is affecting everybody." He's like, "I could see it now. This isn't right." My cosmic awareness. And Carol Danvers is like, "Well, what is it?" He doesn't know what it is, and he destroys it. And everybody realizes, wow, this has been going on for a while. I'm not right. The X-Men all of a sudden realize that they're the bad guys. Spider-Man realizes, how I've been behaving really weird. Iceman is like, what have I been doing? What the hell? And then Mary Jane's like, I don't love this guy. What happened, Pete? Like, I hate to say it, but it resets the pre-crazy 2016 status quo. Like, it'll jump back to some point, like a reset button, and everybody remembers how they behaved. They remembered what happened, and now they're like, we have to restore the reputation. Like, Captain America's like, I'm not a Nazi. I never was a Nazi. Why did I say that? Why did I act like that? What's going on? He gives back. He's like, I'm the Falcon. I don't want to be Steve. Steve is Steve. I'm the Falcon. There's nothing wrong with being the Falcon. All of this stuff, and we just have like an issue or two of like everybody like, what is going on? And now they just tried to restore their reputations. Redemption arc. Everybody, myself included, loves a redemption arc. So, what do you think of that story? Mad Bomb, homage to Jack Kirby, restore like all the superheroes back to their former glory. But I know a few people just like, Skrulls. I do like that idea. That was my original idea. But I like the idea that they were manipulated, that they're kind of ashamed, that they know they were behaving wrong, and they have it in the back of their mind. It's kind of like an added tragedy. Like if they were all up in space and the Skrulls would do it, we need the Mad Bomb to unfire. Geez, Mark Boyd. First off, hello. I haven't seen your name before. Thank you for being here. Second off, I was like, I thought you said we need the Mad Bomb to fire Jim Shooter. I was going to say, I hate to say it to you, but he's already been fired. But yes, I agree with the unfired Jim Shooter. I know a lot of people don't like him. I know a lot of people have personal problems with him, but I wasn't there. I just saw the work, and I will still say that the Jim Shooter years, up until like the last year, was some of the best quality Marvel comics out there. Now, they threw a party when he still. if I may tell, I was working at the comic book store when Jim Shooter got fired, and we had this guy. His real name was. I can't even remember what his real name was, but he was just this ugly-looking, horrible, 6'6", skinny, bearded, weird-looking, guy. I don't know, just weird. He smelled, and forgive me, but behind his back we called him Schmegma. That was his nickname, and Schmegma would come in and just talk at you like that meme of the guy with his hand on the girl's neck, just talking to her at the. That's why he would just talk to you about comic books. It didn't matter if you were 9 years old. Didn't matter if you were 90 years old, and we would have to go up to him and be like, I forget his real name. We'd be like, leave them alone. They're just here to buy a comic. Oh, okay. But he came in like kicking the door open. Jim Shooter was fired. Like his eyes looked like this, and he was. I remember he went to this like a 12-year-old boy. And he's like, "What? Jim Shooter was fired." The kid was all excited, and Larry, the owner, he's 12 years old. He he just wants some bumble gum in a comic book. He had no man. So I don't know. I don't know why people. And then we had some horrible comic books after Jim Shooter. I wasn't particularly fond of the DeFalco years. There were rise in quality when what's his name? Joe Quesada took over at first, but then I still blame Joe Quesada. He hired all of these people that I don't know if he personally hired them or the powers that be directed them, but he ushered in Sana Amanat and Amanat and Brian Michael Bendis are patient zero of everything that's wrong with comic books to this day. Notice that Brian Michael Bendis' own comics that he puts out himself are excellent. Notice that everything else that he does, he just destroys. Like, is he that clever that he's can destroy all the competition? So only his because I thought Powers was an excellent comic book. Murder Incorporated is kind of fun, and now I won't touch anything because I'm just mad at him. But anyway, thank you for the comment, Boyd. You got me on like a 5-minute rant. So, does this make sense that the Mad Bomb, Buttercup, the undiscovered Mad Bomb, it was bigger and more powerful, and it affected the entire world. And I love the idea. We got Captain Marvel back. We have, it's comic booky. You use Carol Danvers' DNA, and then what? Does he reclaim the name of Captain Marvel? Or what? I don't know. But he's the clone of Marvel. Maybe he'll go by another name. Maybe Carol Danvers will go back to Miss Marvel. I don't know. Who knows? But that's what I would do if I was the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics. That's how I would restore comic. Now, the business side of things, what I would do is I am going to assume that Marvel Comics literally can't pay enough to get good talent. That's because Walt Simonson said on Twitter that he was available for work, and then that Marvel told him that nobody wants his art anymore. I call BS on that. Everybody wants Walt Simonson's art. I got friends that aren't comic book fans, and I'll show them modern comic book art, and I'll show them Walt Simonson's new art, and they're like, this is awesome. This is awesome. They don't even know who Walt Simonson is. They got no pony in the race, and their brains telling them, this is awesome. This is garbage. Modern Marvel Comics art and Walt Simonson. So I know Butch Geist is available for work. I know Mike Gustovich is available for work. So all I can assume is that Marvel can't afford these guys. So what I would do if I was in charge of, go to change.org and go and type in, if you go to my Twitter, the pinned tweet is me saying make me editor in chief of Marvel Comics. I'm at 99. I need 100 just as a joke. So everybody watching this, go to my Twitter, which is jlongbox@twitter.com, or and then you'll see my pinned tweet. It's make me editor in chief of Marvel Comics. I just think it's funny. But anyway, this is what I would do. I would like beg, borrow, steal till I got like quality, and then ask them, you staying on for a year, like a contract. I don't know what they do, but get one creative team for an entire year. Do like the old, and what we got to repair. We got to rebuild trust with the core audience. Get quality artists. It sounds like remember when Grant Morrison took over the Justice League over at DC? You know what his recipe was? Get the 7 best superheroes and put them on the team. You had Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, and what, like Green Arrow, and Black. There you go. Wow, that fixed the lagging sales. Who would have thought? Put the best superheroes on the team. So put the best creative team. Get. I know J. Michael Straczynski is doing comic book work again. Get that guy to write like the Avengers. He's just me being the new editor in chief, I'd be like, I'm sorry, that was the old guard. I love you. Will you please work for us? And there you go. So Mark Poe, I've worked in a record store. We had nicknames for almost every regular. Some nice, not yes. Yes, Mark, I totally understand. We had nicknames. I feel bad. Some of these nicknames, some of them were earned. Some of them we were being jerks, but most of them were earned. Mark, thanks for the backup. So, what do you think of that idea? Mad Bomb to fix America. Oh, let's get T-shirts. Mad Bomb to fix Marvel. Make Marvel Mad Bomb again. I don't know. That would be funny. We have the Punisher. Like, oh my God, what was going on? And then Punisher is just going to go on a freaking tirade. We find out that is his wife resurrected. I don't know. That's something that we'll have to fix. But she's definitely not acting that way. Daredevil's been simping around. I hate that word. I can't believe I said it. Ravon's Saber. Okay, give people what they want, not what you want them to want. Good morning, by the way. Ravon, you're a genius. You're a genius. Plus, I don't argue with the guy with the lightsaber. But give the people what they want, not what they think they want. Yes, I agree. The problem is Marvel is giving the wrong people what they want. There's a tiny minority, I remember, what's his name? Mark Millar. Love him or hate him, Mark Millar. I kind of love him, although there's a couple of bumps in that road. But Mark Millar is a guy who likes comics. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Mark Millar is a Scottish comic book writer. He created Kick-Ass, a comic that I liked the comic. I liked the movie. That's about it. And that was John Romita Jr. on art. He also did is he the creator of the Authority? No, Warren Ellis created the Authority, but he was one of the writers who launched the Authority into the stratosphere. But he is like I'll say like second generation or third generation of like the British invasion of the writers. I think he apprenticed under Alan Moore, so of course I'm an Alan Moore fanboy. A lot of people don't like him, but whatever. He loves comic books. And for the most part, he's a great comic book writer. He does, but not everybody does, 1,000%. Jack Kirby had a couple of misses too. So I don't feel like I'm being mean when I say I don't like everything Mark Millar does, but I do tend to look at everything Mark Millar does. But he said, I don't listen to Twitter. He goes, only about 5% of comic book buyers are on Twitter. And the usual suspects went berserkowitz. How dare you tell us what reality is, by observable empirical data? They don't like observable empirical data. They like their feelings, and they like reality to be what it wants to be. Marvel is writing to those people who get outraged. Most people don't want the X-Men behaving like this. I don't want Reed Richards to be like, a weirdo, bad father figure. I don't want Captain America to have always been a Nazi and now, whatever. I don't want any of this. I don't want Jane Foster as Thor. I don't want 6,000 Spider-Mans. I don't want like the Captain Americas, the homeless Captain America. You know, I want Bobby Drake to be going back with Hank McCoy to the beatnik shop with what was her name, the girl that he used to date. You know, I want Bobby Drake. For those of you who don't remember, Bobby Drake was a member of the Defenders, and Bobby Drake fell in love with Cloud, and Cloud was this woman that turned into a cloud. And then when she reformed, she would turn into a man and then turn into a cloud and then turn into a woman. So Bobby was all after, well, she was basically a naked chick, this super hot naked chick. And then she would turn into a cloud. Then when she reformed, and when she turned into a man, he was like, ah, and broke up with her. That's the Bobby Drake I remember. Not this crazy Bobby Drake who was just like an extreme caricature of like, if I was to make like a character behave the way Bobby Drake behaves now, people would be like, dude, you just making fun of the LGB plus Y cubic blah 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 pound sign asterisk plus 2 sign people, you know, whatever. I digress. Okay, so give the people what they want, yes, but find the right, you know, give the most people what they want. You know, if I was to make a comic book and they would say, who's the audience? My answer would be everybody in the world. And if we find that there's people over there on planet Zentar, those people too. So what would get all of the Earthlings and all the Zentarians to buy my comic book? The most. I want the most people. Realistically, it's like what I enjoy. You know, what do I enjoy? I enjoy classic superheroes. I enjoy good guys. I need a good guy to root for. You know, superheroes are power fantasies. The Punisher is like an adult power fantasy. You know, the Punisher is taking out the guy that he doesn't put the shopping carts away. You know what I mean? The Captain America is fighting Nazis and space aliens. You know, the Fantastic Four are fighting Galactus. You know, just stuff that we want as a kid. I want a good guy. You know, I like Greek mythologies because it's heroic stories of guys fighting monsters and you know, challenging the gods and everything. And what do we got now? We got the X-Men going to a you know, a sexual blackmailer gala, you know, because that's what the Hellfire Club is and always was. Sebastian Shaw was Jeffrey Epstein of the Marvel Universe. You know, Karen Frost should not be teaching children. You know what I mean? You know, you don't all of a sudden like Ghislaine Maxwell be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to go teach in an all-girls school. No, you don't. No, you don't. But we give her a pass because she's got mental powers. You know what I mean? She's influencing people. She's always grooming. All right. So there you go. What do you guys think? I got a couple of minutes left. I got a game group to go to at noon. I got to go get cleaned up. Any comments? Any thoughts? Good idea? Bad idea? Stupid idea? You're not going to hurt my feelings. I've got 6 brothers and sisters. You couldn't possibly say anything meaner than my siblings. And sometimes they said it with their fists. So what do you think, guys? I'll give you a couple of minutes. I'm assuming people can hear me. Tony, how you doing? Good to see you. That was a lot of fun when you came on my channel. I really enjoyed it. Oh, this Tuesday, Ron Geronimo of Alterna Comics Blood Realm is going to be on 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about Blood Realm. I want to ask him a couple of questions about world building. Wednesday at 7 p.m. I normally do my live chats Wednesday at 7 p.m., but Rob Geronimo asked, and I was already booked up. My only free time was after their Alterna campaign, so I was like, yeah, sure, you know, I'll help a guy out. So I'm doing 2 this week. Wednesday, I have Jeff Hatcher scheduled. Jeff Hatcher is one of my original subscribers, and geez, months ago, he helped me gain the confidence to actually do live chats. I was tooling around with the software. My buddy Pete was my first one, and then Jeff was my second one. I was just playing around. We did one that was never published. We just talked. I didn't even record it. Otherwise, I would have published it. It was fun. But then, you know, whatever. We talked about some personal details because we knew we weren't live. But anyway, so now he's like, let's do it for real. So he's been buying back issues, not reading them, stacking them up. So he's got a gigantic stack of back issues that we're going to do a back issue bonanza on Wednesday. I like where the British invasion sets negative deconstruction of superheroes, meta conceptual blah blah. With the exception to now, yes, okay, Mark, yes, you, oh baby, you're saying all the right things. I like Dark Knight Returns You know what's funny? I don't particularly like The Dark Knight Returns. I didn't like it when it came out, but I recognize the influence, and I'm still a big Frank Miller. I like Batman Year One so much better. I like Ronin so much better. I like Sin City so much better. Dark Knight Returns, I don't know. I didn't particularly like it that much, and I went along with but nowadays I'm like, it's okay. Then the Watchmen, and the Watchmen came out. The Watchmen was brilliant. I love the Watchmen, and even Alan Moore says, "What's with all the deconstruction?" He kind of like Alan Moore says, like, why are people revering the Killing Joke? It was a Batman annual, so you know, it's like comic books. It's this sells, so let's copy it. Hollywood does the same thing. This selling, let's copy it. Like, how many multiverse movies are coming out? Enough with the multiverse. Deconstruction was a neat idea, like you said, but Frank Miller is a genius. Alan Moore is a genius. You know, Joe Subotnick's not a genius. If I was to, I can't paint like Leonardo da Vinci just because I've seen and like Leonardo da Vinci's works. You know what I mean? I can't direct movies like Martin Scorsese because I've seen and I like Martin Scorsese's works. I appreciate them. I love them. I think they're amazing, but I can't copy them. And I don't have the arrogance to think that I can copy them. So I'm going to do what I think I can do. Does that make sense? You're not Alan Moore. You're not Frank Miller. You're not Will Eisner. You're not Stan Lee. You're not Jack Kirby. And I'm not saying that to discourage you. I'm saying find your own voice. Come up with your own ideas. True diversity. Comic books. I think every medium they kind of have like a group mentality and okay, that sells. Or you know what? I'll even give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe a lot of these people think that, oh my God, that was so good. Like, I don't think we'd have the authority if not for the Watchmen, and the authority was excellent. I don't know. No easy answers. No easy answers. Except Buttercup, the fourth Mad Bomb, fixes Marvel. Let's get stickers made up. All right, guys. I've been talking for over an hour. It's 11 o'clock over here. I gotta shut down and get ready for my game night. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Ravon Saber. I'm just thanking the new people. Old timers. Thank you so much for showing up. I got to get a new setup, stop these hiccups. I don't know what's going on. I think I lost a few people when the internet went down for a second or two. I hope I didn't robot out. I got a new webcam. I'm going to try tinkering with that later on tonight. Maybe that'll solve some of the problems instead of just using my iPhone. All right. Thanks a lot. See you tomorrow, guys, with